Look at this photograph. Not a painting, not an illustration. A real photograph, taken in the late 1800s. A tree stump so large that people are standing on it like it's a stage. Not a few people, dozens, dressed in formal clothes, smiling, relaxed, as if this is normal. Some of them are dancing. There's a staircase carved into the side of the stump just to reach the top. Think about that. A mechanical cut. But here's the issue. According to the timeline we're given, that kind of machinery didn't exist at that scale. Not in remote forests. Not for trees of that size. So either the records are incomplete, or the tools being used were not what we've been told. Now keep that in mind, because we're going back to the canyon. When geologists look at those parallel lines in rock, they usually offer two explanations. The first is natural jointing, a process where rock forms fractures along parallel planes due to pressure changes. The second is differential erosion, where layers of different hardness wear away at different rates, creating a lined appearance. And both of those processes are real. They exist. They explain certain formations, but they don't explain all of them, because in many of the locations where these lines appear, they don't follow the internal structure of the rock. They cut across it. That's important. Natural jointing follows the grain. It respects the internal composition. These lines don't. They ignore it. They move straight across different layers as if those layers don't matter. And then there's the spacing. Consistent. Repeated. Sometimes across hundreds of feet. Erosion doesn't do that. Water doesn't carve perfectly parallel horizontal grooves into vertical rock faces with centimeter-level precision, especially not at elevations far above where water would normally flow. And yet, that's exactly what you see. Now expand the scope, because this isn't just one canyon. Researchers have documented similar markings in multiple locations across the American West. Spain, Turkey, the Caucasus region, different rock types, different climates, same pattern, parallel, horizontal, evenly spaced, and often most visible in the hardest sections of rock, not the softest, which is the opposite of what erosion would produce. So now you have a second anomaly, marks in stone that behave like they were made by a tool, not by nature. And this is where things start to connect, because there's a growing body of independent research suggesting that what we're looking at in these formations is not purely natural, but the remnants of something else, something large, something structured, something that was removed. Let's bring in Petra. Petra, in modern-day Jordan, is one of the most studied archaeological sites on Earth. An entire city carved into sandstone cliffs, temples, tombs, corridors, thousands of carved spaces. The official story is that it was created by the Nabateans using hand tools over several centuries. Chisels, hammers, simple implements. And again, for small-scale work, that's believable. But Petra isn't small-scale. It's massive. The volume of material that would have had to be removed to create those structures is enormous. And yet, where is it? Where's the debris? Where are the piles of carved-out stone that should surround the site? Archaeological surveys don't show deposits that match the expected volume, which raises a problem, because material doesn't just disappear. If it was carved manually, it had to go somewhere. Transported, dumped, repurposed, documented. But there's no clear record of that at the scale required. And in some of the unfinished sections of Petra, you see the same kind of linear markings found in canyon walls. Not in the decorative areas, not in the finished facades, in the working sections, the parts that were left incomplete, which brings us to a pattern that keeps repeating. Abandonment. At Petra, there are sections where the work simply stops. Not finished, not sealed, just stopped, as if the process was interrupted. The same thing appears in other locations. In Lebanon, at the Baalbek Quarry, there's a stone block still partially attached to the bedrock, known as the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, estimated to weigh over 1,600 tons. 3 sides cut, 1 side still connected. The precision is there. The intention is obvious, but it was never removed. Whatever was happening there didn't finish. And that's the part that ties all of this together. Because we're not just looking at isolated anomalies. We're looking at a pattern. Large-scale cutting, high precision, and then sudden cessation across multiple continents. Now we come back to the trees, because here's where the theory shifts. And this is where a lot of people stop listening. But stay with it. Some researchers have proposed that certain geological formations, mountains,